Hey, this is Lee Nevis, host of CJ and Cell. Thanks for listening to the following podcast on Public House Media.
Hey, Choose to Rise fans, Kim Meyer here. I wanted to extend an invite to you to join me in my Healthy Living Accountability Group, Together We Rise. It is there where we work on fitness, we work on nutrition, we work on positive mindsets, and supporting each other in the process of living a healthy, fulfilling life. In whatever season of life that you're in, everyone has the opportunity to live a healthier, more fulfilling life. So join me. Head me up at chooseriseup@gmail.com or check out chooseriseup.com to learn more about how you can be a part of this amazing group and feel fulfilled and healthy for life. Don't let your failure in the past get in the way of your success in the future. Don't let your failure of the past get in the way of the success of your future. How many of you are doing that? How many of you have let your failures of the past or the negative things that have happened in your past dictate who you are going forward? I know I've done that before, but today I want to help you and encourage you today to let go of those things, because what's happened because of your past does not have to define your future. Something hasn't gone well for you. If something hasn't gone well for you, or you feel like you failed, if you feel like you've not done something right, if you've made mistakes in your past, that doesn't mean that the same thing has to happen next time. It doesn't mean that you have to repeat the process. There are so many things that have happened to us in life, but we can use them as learning tips and learning tools and learn from our past and change our future. Just because you have, like I said, made mistakes or done something different, you don't have to let that define you. I know that I've made lots of mistakes in my life. I've had lots of negative things happen to me in life. The circumstances of our world are not going to necessarily have to be the things that define us going forward. You are made and created as a beautiful, perfect being. And when we use our thoughts to our disadvantage, when we are constantly repeating the past, we're defining who we are going to be in the future. I am going to applaud you today to say, let go of the things of the past and move forward and do things differently in your future. If you've ever felt bogged down by your mistakes, or sometimes you regret something that's happened in your life, you don't have to let that keep you down. You don't have to, it's unfair to yourself actually to keep holding on to the negative things of your past and not allowing them to be let go so you can do something different in your future. There are so many things that are happening in our world right now. There are, lots of negativity around us. Turn on the news, listen to the radio, stand on the gossip line, whatever. You are going to always hear the negative things. But when we really focus in on letting go of the negative and we focus on learning from the situation and not dwelling in the woe is me, but focusing on the what can I do differently, we are going to grow. We're going to live life differently. We're going to see hope. We're going to see future. We're going to understand that, all of our sins have been washed away because we believe in a higher power and a God that loves us. And even though we've made bad choices, he loves us anyway, and he wants us to live a good life. So I know that I've made mistakes. I've made bad choices in my own life and in my past, and I've hurt people, and I deserve to be hurt sometimes, and I've wasted precious time. I've told lies. I've neglected my health. I've taken my parents for granted. I've been selfish. I've been self-centered, but I've also been the victim of bullying. I've also been, there's been things that have happened in my life that I just felt like were so unfair to have happened to me. I get that caught in that woe with me thing. I have regrets. I have guilt. I have felt anger. I have felt all those things, but feeling those regrets of guilt and resentment and anger used to weigh me down. They used to keep me trapped in who I was. And they kept me down in a cycle of woe is me. I can't do anything about it. And my mindset was what was holding me back. My thought pattern of always focusing on the bad, always focusing on the why me, always focusing on the things that have gone wrong, and just kind of repeating and kind of giving myself a self-fulfilling prophecy of all these things are going to continue to happen in a negative way. When instead, when I finally had the epiphany and realized through personal development and surrounding myself with positive people and learning about how this all works in life, right? When you figure all of that kind of stuff out, you have that epiphany of that. I realized that my past only had had the grip on my present because I was allowing it to. My relationship with my dad has never really been a great one, but when I finally had that epiphany of like, I'm demonizing him for things that have happened in the past, not because of who he is right now or who he is going to be in the future. When I let go of those kinds of things, it allowed me to be at peace. It allowed me to have a positive outlook on life. It allows me to have a positive relationship with him and the people around me because I'm not holding on to the things that I can't change. I'm not holding on to the things that have no dictation on what happens going forward. Another thing that I did was forgive myself for my past mistakes. God's already forgiven me. Why do I hold on to all of myself? My arms and my shoulders were full with doubt and hurt and things. When I let go of those things and I forgave myself for the things that I've done and I forgave others for the things that they've done, all that just melted away. And it was so liberating to be a part of that. So no matter what has happened in your past, you can choose so much differently in your future and have a brighter future because of it. You can focus on the good that's coming instead of the pain that's been in the past. So I want to give you a few things today that are going to help you, encourage you, and maybe do the same kinds of things as well. First and foremost, you need to understand that you are wiser now, right? Everything that has happened in your past has taught you something about life, if we see it as a learning lesson. Now, not everything's going to feel good. Not everything is going to be a positive thing in life, but when we can learn from it, it has a purpose then. And it's a way of teaching us where we're supposed to be. If you're walking in a storm right now, I would encourage you to ask God what he's teaching you. Open your eyes, open your ears, and look for the good, because there is good in every situation. We're just not always open to seeing it. Remember that you cannot change your past, but you can change how you react to it. You are wiser now. You've learned something in this process. It has taught you something. You are not the same person that you used to be, so you don't have to make the same mistakes that you once made, and that you don't have to keep punishing yourself in order to be sorry. He's forgiven you. Forgive yourself and move on. And if you have someone in your life that you feel like you need to ask forgiveness of, ask. It's not whether they forgive you or not is on them, but you have asked for it and you have forgiven yourself, and you're going to let that load go, and you don't have to be the victim anymore. Just because you were taken advantage of or bullied or treated unfairly or had something negative happen to you, that doesn't mean that you have to keep suffering because of something that happened in your past. Stop reliving it. Stop putting it back in your head, because the more you think about it, the more it shows up in your life. Instead of playing the victim role, be the resilient survivor. It's within you. The power is already within you. Everything you need to move forward is there. You have to just choose that key of freedom. Constantly replaying the negative event in your head greatly increases your suffering, greatly increases the fact that it's probably going to show up in your life again. You don't have to be that victim. Let go of that negative event and focus on the good that's coming from it. I know I didn't have the perfect growing up life. I didn't have a lot of things, but I had some love in my life, and I didn't necessarily have the greatest relationship with both of my parents. But I realize now that even though I haven't had the best relationship with my dad, it's created a type of resilience in me. It's created a type of grit in me that has flourished for me in my life. If I wouldn't have gone through those certain things, I wouldn't be the person I am today. So instead of being resentful and hurt and thought of negative of those kinds of things, I'm choosing joy and looking at the positive things that have created me to do the things that I needed to do today. Sometimes it's going to hurt to be shaped into who we need to be. Sometimes there's going to be pain, and there's going to be discomfort in growing, right? There's nothing. The seed gets planted as a seed, and then it has to break open in order for the flower to bloom, to grow from it and to bloom as it is, right? That I'm sure is painful for the seed. We just don't know that. But we have to also break open sometimes for us to grow, for us to bloom, for us to go places. So I would encourage you to not be the victim anymore and look for the circumstances of resiliency. The next thing you can do is forgive yourself and others. Having to forgive is, one of the things that has released me of so many things. Ann Landers said, hanging on to resentment is letting someone you despise live rent-free in your head, right? Listen to that again. Hanging on to resentment is letting someone you despise live rent-free in your head. I would say, if you're going to put things in your head, if you're going to let people live in your heart and in your mind, make sure that they're good ones, right? And make sure they're positive and happy things. And just because you want to condone or justify what you did or what happened, you need to choose to forgive others, because that's what's going to set you free. You're not saying that what happened was a good thing. You're not saying what happened should have happened. What you're saying is you've grown from it, you've learned from it, and you're going to be okay even despite the thing that has happened. You don't deserve to serve a life imposed or life sentence to atone for all the wrong things that you've done. You've been forgiven. Jesus died on the cross for you. Let go of it yourself and live the life that you were intended to live, instead of repeating all the things over and over. So what some things that I want you to look at your past differently, things I want you to relate to your current life here. I want to give you some empowering possibilities here. Okay. Just think about these things. You can succeed in business even if you failed before. You can get in shape even if you've been overweight and for the longest time. You can enjoy a happy relationship even if you've made mistakes in previous ones. You can experience abundance even if you grew up poor. You can be a good parent even if your parents were less than ideal. You can be happy even if you've experienced tremendous sadness. You can obtain your dream job even if you were fired from your last 2 jobs. You can get your degree even if you were neglected in the past. You can learn to trust again, even though others have betrayed you. You can make wise choices by letting go of the things of your past and focusing on the good going forward. You can be a resilient survivor of bad situations rather than the reoccurring victim. You always get to decide where you're going in your life. You always get to decide how you respond to the situation. If there were an accident right in front of you and there were 4 people standing at a corner, all 4 of you are going to see things differently because you're going to process things differently. But the one that's going to move forward the fastest and the one that's going to have the most abundant and productive life is the one that's going to forgive, not necessarily forget, but learn from, and the one that's going to focus on the good and what's coming of it because of a positive way. I've mentioned it, I've had crappy things happen in life. My mom's had cancer 3 times. My dad lives in a nursing home. I have, for the rest of his life, he's like 60 something. I've had negative relationships at work. I've had, things happen with relationships in my life, or, in college, I bounced checks, and there's been so many negative things that I could focus on, all the poor, woe is me, all these bad things. But when you focus on the good instead, when I look at my mom's had cancer 3 times. Here's just an example that's happened to me recently. My mom's had cancer 3 times in probably the last 12 years. Okay. She's overcome all of them, thankfully. But most recently, a very good friend of mine, her father was diagnosed with cancer, and she reached out to me and said, as a daughter who's been through this, I would love your advice. I would love to know what I need to do to best serve him, what I need to do to be a best how can I get through this? How can I help them get through this? How can I get through this myself? I get to be the beacon of light because I have suffered. I have been through things in my life that I get to be a light for other people, that I get to walk with them in their pain. I get to help them and encourage them, and not necessarily advise them, but just show up for them and be a support system to them, because I understand. And when we can get connected with people, when we can be a light to other people because of our pain, instead of always, focusing on the negative things and being, bringing people down, focus on the good and focus on how you can move forward because of those things, and be a light and be a source of strength for people, because you've learned something in this process and your experience will help them get through this too. The same thing goes with, my team of women, my encouraging coaching team. We help each other rise up out of our current situation because we've all learned something in this process. We've all been there, right? We know what it feels like to be stuck in our skin and to be unhappy with our body image, and to maybe be struggling in other areas of life. But when we come together and lean on each other, and when we come together and learn together, and we can help each other let go of that self-doubt and those limiting beliefs, and we can really help each other not focus on our failures, but be focusing on the success that we're going to have in the future, life gets better. I hope today that one of these things has helped you, and that you really understand, and that you can really grasp this concept that you don't have to let your failures of your past get in the way of your success in the future, and that you let go of those things today, that you were able to break away the wall that you've put up in front of you, and that you're able to live a healthier and happier life moving forward with the positive things going in your day. I hope that something today helped you and that you felt encouraged. If you feel so compelled to share this with someone, tag someone in this video, share this on your social media, tell other people about Choose to Rise so we can get the message out to others. We have a goal of helping others find God and helping others find peace in their heart and their mind, and having at least 10,000 people listen to the show every week. And we're about halfway there. And you helping share the message helps more people find it, helps more people hear it, and more people will hopefully be compelled to call God their Father. And I hope today that helps you and support you. And again, thank you so much for joining us today. I will see you back here again next week.